Hey folks, today on DIY Buddy Guy, I'm going to show you how to change your tie rod end without needing an alignment. Some may argue that point, but I'll show you how it's done. This right here is your tie rod end that connects to your tie rod, and when you move your steering wheel back and forth, it pushes the tire out or pulls the tire in, depending on the direction you want to steer. When the mechanic does an alignment, the piece that he adjusts is your tie rod right here. This end is threaded, and it goes into your tie rod end, and by turning this bar, it'll either draw your tie rod end in or push it out, depending on what adjustment is you need for your alignment. Now, assuming that you're happy with your current alignment, and I am, this truck is aligned and I don't want to change that. However, I do need to change my tie rod end, and here is my new tie rod end. As you can see, the inside of the end here is threaded. I need to remove this tie rod end and get the alignment back to the exact same position, and change it, and I won't need an alignment. And the way that I'm going to do that is by measuring with good old reliable quality tape measure. So what I need to do is measure from a fixed point on this tie rod end, and a good spot is the end of it back here. I'm going to move the lock nut out of the way. I'm going to measure a distance from the end of my tie rod end to a fixed point on my tie rod, and a good spot is back here on the other side of this grommet to the nut on my inner tie rod end. So here's my tie rod. This is my inner tie rod that connects to the tie rod that goes to the rest of the steering. But this nut right here is a fixed position that's not going to change. So I'm going to get a measurement from here to where my tie rod end is, and then when I take this tie rod out and put my tie rod end back together, I'm going to measure again, and I'm going to have to adjust it to get to the same measurement that I have now. And the way that you take it out is the mechanic, when he does your alignment, is going to do the same thing, only in different increments. So in order for me to remove my tie rod from my tie rod end, I'm going to turn this bar and unthread it from my tie rod end. So before I do that, I'm going to measure from my tie rod end to my fixed point, and then when I put it back together, I'm going to put it back together to whatever that measurement is. Okay, so I have my tape measure in position from the end of my tie rod to my fixed point, and my measurement is 10 5/8. I can't really get the camera in there to show you, but that's what the measure I'm going to go with. And I have my Sharpie. I'm going to write on something, probably the inside of my tire, 10 5/8, to help me remember that when I change the part and put it back together, I need to turn this tie rod back, so the adjustment from the end of my tie rod to the fixed point is 10 5/8. Well, as you can see, I have the new tie rod end installed. I reinstalled it the way I described, with my tape measure from the end of the tie rod end to my fixed point over there. And I just took the truck for a test drive, and it handles the same now as it did before the repair. Thanks for watching.